theme of the show, top 5 movie cars.
Yeah.
Cars that have been in movies.
Not car chase scenes. Yeah, movie cars. They could be fictional or real.
Yeah.
No rules.
Right.
Yeah.
Time machine.
Cars featured in movies.
Right. So my 5th movie car would be Robert De Niro's neck.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Off the Record. You know how Off the Record works. I've been talking about it for literally years. Basically, you don't plead guilty if you get a ticket. You just don't. That's what suckers do. Oh, I'm just going to pay it and it'll go away. You know why? It doesn't go away. It catches up with your insurance, potentially your employment. There's all kinds of things you didn't think about, side problems with having points on your license, and that's where Off the Record comes in. If you get pulled over, if you get a ticket, send that ticket to offtherecord.com/TST or code TSTPOD on the Off the Record app, and that'll get you 10% off all legal services through Off the Record. Off the Record will connect you to a qualified attorney in the jurisdiction where you got that ticket. They'll fight that ticket on your behalf. That could mean negotiating with the prosecutor. That could mean actually going to court. And in a huge percentage of the cases, they get those points off your record. In fact, if they don't, you don't pay. Go to offtherecord.com/TST or download the Off the Record app and use code TSTPOD, and you'll have that lawyer in your back pocket ready to go to work for you and keep those points off your record. Now, on today's episode, Zack and I are in the same room for the first time in over a week, and we will explain why that is. My trip got canceled, his trip got canceled, and instead, the plague. The plague hit. It's a hell of a story. You're going to want to stick around for that. Plus, our top 5 movie cars of all time. A bunch of cybertruck fails are happening. Surprise, surprise. And we have some amazing questions from our patrons on today's crew show. It's the Smoking Tire Podcast. Let's go. Fuck, that is a good one. That's a banger. I'm using that Colorado coffee that Dan brought us.
Oh, okay.
It's very nice.
Nice.
It's a very good. Shout out to Dan from Colorado. Patron, brought us some coffee. This motherfucker commutes between LA and Colorado in his 718 Spider. Boss move.
Pretty much. It's like 50,000 miles in a year.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. But he did bring us some coffee from Colorado, and it is delicious. So shout out to him. Hell of a week, boys and girl. Hell of a week. We last heard from us on Friday. You got podcasts last week, but we recorded it in the Hyundai coming back from the shoot. That was our last podcast. And you had plans to go to the Indy 500.
Yep. Honda invited me to go to Indy 500.
Clearly, you're not there.
Nope.
I had plans to go to Seattle for Mach-E Rally. Seems like a lot of our friends went. I did not go. And instead, the plague came across. The plague came through and fucking took out everybody but me.
Right. Yeah,
everybody.
Yeah. Two-thirds of TST, I guess, got to test the healthcare system.
So what the fuck was your week like?
I had some sort of gastrointestinal situation, and we don't know if it was a virus, like a contagious virus that I caught, or is a food poisoning thing, but the symptoms were the same.
Yeah.
And I think we all can guess what those are. As I described it, I turned into the Bellagio fountain.
Oh, dude.
So that was a fun
Every
couple
30
days.
minutes to Frank Sinatra's My Way?
Not that frequent, but like, the day after we filmed the Hyundai, I woke up and I was like, whoa, I feel really achy and I have a fever. This is strange. But nothing else was going on. I just thought I had, is it COVID? Is it the flu? Is it whatever? And then by day 2, it was definitely a stomach situation. So I got some IV fluids and a bunch of blood tests, and nothing came back positive for anything creative, which was good because as the situation, your situation you'll describe, it was happening to me at the same time, and I went, well, maybe I also have this creative situation.
Yeah, but you didn't have the circumstances that produced the creative situation.
Correct. Yeah. I got to have a lot of circumstantial evidence.
Right.
And I was like, well, I ate here, but I also went to this dance party on Saturday, but I also was near Hannah sort of for like a week, but that was a while ago.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I spent 4 days sleeping, and then I'd get up and go to the couch and sleep. And that was all I did for 3-4 days, and it sucked because Andrew from Honda, like I told him on Tuesday, I was like, hey man, like I just got IVs, like this is not a good indicator of how I'm going to be to fly out Thursday. And he's like, all right, well, see what you can do, and your health is the most important thing. We're not going to cancel the flight because like it's not going to matter. Like it doesn't matter to us. We're Honda. We're Honda. We sold so many Civics.
Yeah.
And then on Wednesday, he's like, hey, just checking in. I said, there's no way I should sit on a plane right now because I'd be sitting in a chair that is not my seat. Yeah. And it sucked, man, because apparently it was a great Indy 500.
Yeah.
And so instead I watched Driven, which is
Is that the Stallone movie? That's Drive.
I'd never seen
Driven or Drive?
I watched
the Stallone IndyCar movie?
Yeah. So
it's
bad.
aged really well.
It's so bad.
I like when he drives the Indy car on the street,
That's
no helmet.
That's the best part.
It is
and
the best. No, I wasn't being serious. I do like that
That is
part.
the best part, even though his eyes would cease to exist because he gets clocked at 195 with no goggles, no face protection, and there's no windshield. I'm like, what? But that movie.
I can't even do that on a boat at like 26.
Exactly. A bicycle over 30, you start to squint.
Yeah, dude. If I ride my e-bike home without sunglasses, I'm like getting debris out of my eyes.
Forget it. 195. But we could get into that movie. That's a whole different story. But that was my week. Is just being
Not
sick,
good.
sleeping a lot, and then I turned the corner on Friday, which of course was like, okay, I'm better. I still am not well enough to fly to Indianapolis and tour a Honda facility. Like I would have been the most boring person. When you're at an event, you're just like, I just want to leave. I just need to go to the hotel. Like that's all you want to do because you're sick. That's
it's not worth going to a thing if that's what the thing is going to be. Yeah. Well, that's bad. It's pretty bad.
But I didn't go to the hospital.
You didn't go to the hospital. Hannah went to the hospital for 5 days. And so I learned what it would be like if the TV show House was real life, right? No beautiful doctors, just one little Jew.
Well, I mean, what's his face isn't the prettiest man.
Hugh Laurie? Hugh Laurie is a fantastic specimen. And Olivia Wilde is on that show.
I was specifying Hugh Laurie.
Okay, well, he's very eloquent at least.
He's very clever, eloquent, and charming.
The theme music adds really a lot to the excitement of diagnosing diseases.
Well, and jump cuts really help you get further in your diagnosis.
Right. And on House, they have like 7 people diagnosing your weird disease. Not so in the real world.
No.
So, we adopted this kitten, Monty, and he's great. And by adopting, of course, we mean we found him underneath a truck. And so we found him. It's 4 weeks ago. It was 3 weeks before, and he's the cutest. But he was covered in fleas and ticks, and we got him bathed and cleaned up and everything, and he's now great. So, but 2 weeks after we got him, Hannah started to get sick. She started achy, tired, which turned into a fever. She thought it was the flu. After 2 days, the fever didn't go away. She went to urgent care. They gave her fluids. They gave her, whatever fucking thing they give you. Something that's like stronger than over the counter, but not like crazy. I don't know if it was Motrin or whatever. They send her home. Her fever goes down for like a few hours and then goes back up. And then she has 103 fever for 5 straight days. So we decide on Sunday that she needs to go to the hospital. So go to the ER. They have no idea what she has. She tests negative for flu. She tests negative for COVID, negative for RSV, negative for this and that. Well, they admit her to the hospital. They're giving her fluids. They're giving her the same shit they gave her at urgent care. But, like, it's just not helping. I mean, it's keeping her from fucking dying, I guess, because the fever is going, it gets up to 103.5, and then they give her, like, all these fluids and intravenous Tylenol, and then it goes down to 101.5, and then 6 hours later it's back up. I mean, it was like They got their ice packs. I mean, they're like stuffing her armpits with ice packs. She was so hot that she was shivering. Like, that's bad.
That's like, a weird thing.
It's bad to feel hot, but if you feel cold, you're past hot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what my fever did the same thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But so eventually they're asking questions, and eventually my sister-in-law Jillian, John's brother, John's widow. John's widow, excuse me, starts going, hey, have you looked into toxoplasmosis? So toxoplasmosis is a parasite that comes from the poop of wild animals, including domestic animals that live outside. So if you've got a cat or a dog that lives on a farm or a ranch and they are eating mice or birds or wild animals, not prepared food, they can carry this parasite. And if you bring one into your home, it can be pooping out this parasite for up to 2 weeks. So that's the reason they tell pregnant women to not clean litter boxes.
It's really dangerous for pregnant women.
It's really dangerous.
Because it can affect the fetus. It doesn't actually and they were telling me this at urgent care too. It's a dangerous virus for people that are immunocompromised, or if you're pregnant, because the fetus is basically immunocompromised, and then it can cause problems.
Yeah. So the symptoms sort of matched what she had, but not exactly. It was like pretty close. Like the WebMD symptoms matched, but so eventually we have this infectious disease specialist come in.
A person you always are happy to have to ask for.
Yeah. And so I am just trying to do anything I can to be helpful. I canceled my trip to drive the Mach-E, obviously. And Ford was incredibly understanding, especially when I was like sent a photo of like my hospital visitor badge. They're like, okay, yeah, dude, whatever, dude, fine. No. So I'm trying to do anything. I emailed Peter Attia. I can't think of anything else. I asked you to talk to your dad.
Yeah. Because my brother previously had a disease that was undiagnosed. Yeah. And he got to see infectious disease specialists.
Right.
So, yeah.
And I emailed Peter Attia, who was so responsive, nice, and helpful. Like, shout out to this guy. Like, I've never met him in person. I've only talked to him over emails. But he took like a real interest in this. And we probably emailed back and forth 10 times over the course of the week. He wanted to know her numbers. He was really, cool. He was really very, and he's like, he connected me to who he said was this amazing infectious disease specialist in LA. That's not who saw Hannah. But the first time I left this guy a voicemail. The first time fucking the doctor comes in to see Hannah, he goes, oh, are you your husband Matt? I go, yeah. He goes, I heard you tried to get a second opinion from my partner. I go, oh shit. I was like I was a little red-faced, and he was like, no, it's cool. Like, you're trying to do your homework. He's like, I'm not insulted at all, but they actually did have a proper consult about what Hannah has.
That's funny because I would call my dad. My dad's an ER doctor. Yeah. I'd call him and ask a question, but then I'd call my brother, who's 4 years younger and also a doctor, and I was getting different opinions from the same name.
Well, fortunately, the guy that Peter said was the best in LA, and the guy who actually saw Hannah are partners.
Right.
And so thank God. Okay, we got the right people on the fucking case. So it turns out after she got sick Wednesday
of last week
of last.
No.
2 Wednesdays ago.
Right.
Went to the hospital on Sunday. So she'd been sick for like 5 days with a fever for 4 of them.
Sunday the 19th.
Yeah.
Okay.
She went to the hospital on Sunday. Yeah, Sunday the 19th. Yeah. Right. On Tuesday afternoon, Dr. Feldman, the infectious disease guy, goes, okay, we think we know what you have. The bad news is it takes literally weeks to test for it. Most of the tests, including the toxoplasmosis test, are like culture tests. Mm-hmm. So they tested for them, but none of those tests came back. The toxoplasmosis test came back yesterday.
Wow.
She's been home for 2 days.
Yeah.
So the doctor goes, okay, we think we know what you have. It's not, we don't think it's toxo. We think it's called murine typhus, which sounds like a fucking Pirates of the Caribbean jungle disease. You know what I mean? Like no one's ever like heard of this. Not no one, but like most regular people have never heard of this. It would have come from Monty, but not from poop, from fleas. It's from infected fleas from wild animals. And so And the symptoms are very similar to toxo, except it's actually, they're stronger. The symptoms are more intense, and you don't have a swelling of the lymph nodes, which toxo would do, and Hannah didn't have. So basically, to find out if you have typhus, they treat you with this antibiotic, and before the tests come back, if you're better, that's what you have.
Wow.
Sidebar, all four cats got sick also. So at the same time, Hannah's in the fucking hospital. One cat, Cricket, that was the closest to Monty, actually had to go to the vet ER because she had a super high fever and was like not looking great.
Whoa.
And it's a good thing I brought her too because she was actually quite sick.
How long did she stay in the veer?
It was just, she was only there for like an hour.
Oh.
They gave her like intravenous fluids. They gave her like injectable antibiotics, injectable painkillers. And then I also, the other cats like all started sneezing. And so I had to give, I'm going back, the visiting hours were from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. So I'm at the hospital all day. I would leave in the middle of the day for like a couple hours to come here, and then I'd go back. And then first thing in the morning and at night, I'm by myself and I have to give medication to 4 cats.
Is it hard? Like, what is the process of giving cats medication?
So I had to give them like a liquid that you would squirt in their mouth, which is not the worst thing. It's not a shot, but like they don't like it. It doesn't taste very good. I'd have to give them this powder that I'd whip up into like this churu, which is like cat baby food. Yeah. Right? And then I'd have to give 2 of them eye drops, antibiotic eye drops. But to do this by yourself with 4 cats, plus feeding the cats and doing the litter boxes, that's a lot of cat shit. That's like a lot of cat stuff.
A lot of cat things.
It was probably 45 minutes in the beginning and end of every day. And so so once they diagnosed Hannah and started to give her meds, within about 24 hours, she started to get better very quickly. So they diagnosed her Tuesday afternoon. She went home Friday. So,
wow, but so she had 2 days in the hospital
where she got better.
Observed. Wow.
Yeah.
Yikes,
stable,
dude.
but observation. The last 24 hours, they took out her IV, and she basically just had to it was like, make sure nothing happens, you know? And so she still has headaches, which she's on medication for another week. But typhus, dude, that's nuts.
Yeah, Wikipedia says it's called flea-borne typhus.
Yep, that's it.
That's
and
scary.
Hannah went when she brought the cat inside. We kept him in the guest bathroom for the first 48 hours, and he never left that bathroom until he got a flea bath. When she would go in there, she would she'd go in and then immediately take off all her clothes and put them in the laundry. She was so afraid of fleas being in the house.
Yeah,
but But they could have bit her. One bite.
Right. The first time she picked him up, walking from the truck to the house, it could have bit her. Mm-hmm. Did she have itchy bites that she went, I got a couple got me?
She thought so, yeah. She couldn't, but
that sucks.
Yeah, it was fucking crazy.
Wow.
A sick wife and 4 sick cats. This is now the most expensive kitten, the most expensive free kitten.
Yes. Definitely.
I mean, dude, I'm into $1,200 at vets. Who knows what our hospital bill will be? I mean, a 5-night hospital stay is going to be fucking crazy. Even with insurance, it's going to be a huge number.
Well, the human body isn't covered under insurance.
Turns out.
You know.
And actually, P.S., the cats and Hannah, same medication, doxycycline. They literally were on all the same medication.
Just very different amounts.
Very different doses.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Fucking intense week, man.
Yeah. That's really scary that, when they go, we're not sure what you have. You're like, great. Thanks. Grab all the computers and all the AI.
Yeah.
Not the Google AI. That's showing some problems. But all the AI and, see what we have.
And, no jump cuts and soundtracks. Just beep.
Right?
Beep.
8 hours.
Beep for fucking 24 hours a day and fluorescent lights and a.
Was she
oh my
sleeping
god! And
at
she
night,
had
or?
Nah, not well. And she had a roommate.
Yeah.
Fucking the first roommate she had, I swear, made her sicker. Bitch was a fucking lunatic. She was like a drug addict, and look, and I mean, a drug addict in terms of just openly and loudly fiending for the nurses to give her more fucking Dilaudid and shit.
Oh.
And like just like broke up with and got back together with her boyfriend like 6 times in 2 days over the phone, you know, on the other side of a curtain.
That is not helping him.
Oh my God, it was crazy town, dude.
Yeah,
like freaked out that someone like stole her computer charger like for like an hour and a half, and then like we found it under the fucking nightstand. I mean, just crazy junkie shit. But not like heroin junkie, like pillhead junkie, you know, trying to, she was like an SEO professional who was trying to like pitch herself. She overheard me talking to Hannah about like something on YouTube, and she was like, oh, you're a creator? Like trying to give me her card to like, she's like, I can do a free analysis of your YouTube channel. And I'm like, okay.
We got people, we're good now.
Yeah, like, we're all right, lunatic.
Wow.
She did say one very funny thing though. She said to me, straight face, Snoop Dogg follows me on LinkedIn. And I was like, how is that not on a t-shirt? Like that, I'd fucking put that on
there you go.
That's really funny.
And he doesn't, but his team might. You know, whatever. Follow for follow.
Whatever. It was fucking really funny, but just nuts, man.
That's really scary.
Yeah. Monty is actually, so Monty, I think because he was the carrier, was kind of resistant to the original round of antibiotics. So I took him back to the vet, and he had to get the injectable antibiotic that Cricket got like 2 days ago. He's fucking sneezing like crazy now.
Wait, because he had 2 rounds?
The antibiotics I was giving him every day didn't like work.
Right.
And so he got sicker while all the other cats started to get better.
Oh, I thought you meant he started sneezing after the injectable.
No.
Okay.
No, he's like still sneezing now, but he had the injectable like a day and a half ago.
What a wild ride.
What a fucking week. But I did learn a very valuable lesson. Some people may listen to this and go, yeah, dummy, that's how life is. And other people maybe wouldn't think this way. I've never actually had to make like a real choice between work and family. I've never had to cancel a trip because of a family member. You know what I mean? Like because a family member needed me and to be around, and to the point where I had to cancel. Now we're very fortunate that we're like healthy and independent. We don't have young kids, whatever. But like I was worried that if it ever came down to like work or family, that I would choose work. But I didn't choose work. I chose family, and I don't feel the least bit bad about it. And like life goes on, and like so we review one less car this month. Right. You know, like okay. Granted, if you're behind on your bills and you have to go to work to keep a roof over your head, you fucking do what you got to do, man. But if you have the luxury of caring for your family instead of going to work, fucking care for your family.
Yeah, we're in a lucky position with like the job we have, the way it works, all that stuff, and to not take advantage of that and care for your family if you're in that situation would be so foolish.
Guys, we got to take a quick break from the show for Auto Tempest. They're supporting us today. And when you're looking for a car, it's smart to cast a wide net and check as many places as possible. For instance, in this episode and this week, we're going to show you some Cybertrucks for sale. We'll show you on Auto Tempest, which pulls all of the listings from all of the different sites together into one place. You don't want to look at cars.com, TrueCar, eBay Motors, Carvana, and more by typing in the same exact search terms in every single site. No, you go to autotempest.com/tire, and they will bring it all together into one place and include results from Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist nationwide. Auto Tempest now has apps for iOS and Android, so you can use the website or have Auto Tempest right on your home screen. Saves you time, and time is money. That's why Auto Tempest has all the cars with one search. Head over to autotempest.com/tire so they knew we sent you. That's autotempest.com/tire and start searching for your next car. I haven't bailed on a press trip once in 18 years of doing this. Not once. So if I got to do it once, okay, they'll forgive you. You know, it's
Right.
like that's how life works.
Right.
So
that's what it's called, a medical emergency for a reason. You know, you're
yeah. And the people at Cedars in Marina Del Rey, you know, they're very nice. Hospitals are so frustrating, especially when you don't have a diagnosis. You know, it's a slow moving process. And it can be so frustrating. And it's really
scary.
If you're in the hospital and you don't have a healthy person there to like advocate for you, that's not good. I mean, it sucks that this is our healthcare system, but like I had to be a pain in the ass. Like I'd go up to the nurse's stand and be like, Hannah needs this. Can you please do this? And she couldn't. She was in a fucking bed.
Yeah.
And I'd have to go, and I was obviously happy to do it, but seeing other patients around that didn't have a healthy person there to go like be annoying and demand stuff, they did not get cared for as well, as frequently. They weren't checked on as often. They didn't get the things they needed as often. I mean, I'm not suggesting that this hospital was like delinquent or anything like that, or not doing what their duty is. And this, talking to Jillian about all the cancer hospitals that John was in, same shit.
Yeah.
Jillian was like a fucking tornado, you know, getting shit done for John.
She's an outspoken person.
Yeah.
And I say that with love. She's hilarious, but like, she's a very outspoken person.
You need a healthy, you know, confident, outspoken person to get shit done for you if you're in the hospital. I don't care if the nurses think I'm a pain in the ass as long as they fucking help her.
Well, because they also, you know, the nurses have more patients than ever, and a lot of hospitals are understaffed. But anyway, they have a certain amount of time they could spend with every patient, basically, and they have other things to do. So they're not going to sit there and watch each person, but you can watch Hannah and see if something changes in 5 minutes, and like, oh, she actually needs this now, or this has just happened.
Yeah.
What do we do about that? Yeah.
It was, you really, I mean, God, if anyone out there ever needs to go to the hospital, make sure you've got someone who can come advocate for you. You know, because it's very important in America, in our healthcare system, which is not great, even though they have well-meaning people and qualified doctors.
I mean, I think, I don't know what it's like in other countries. We know that the costs are different, but I think you still have X number of patients, X number of doctors and nurses. And like, if they're not in the room with you the whole time for 3 hours, like they just won't see you suddenly go from hot to cold.
Right.
And they have your vitals hooked up. They're called vitals because it's like, here's the vital information. But they might not know that the patient has just had this huge shift in temperature or sensation. And if the patient doesn't hit the button to call the nurse and say, hey, here's how I'm feeling now, they won't know. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. You know what was, so, you know, this hospital is under construction right now. They're building like a huge new hospital. So it's a pretty small facility that's actually the one that's open right now. So it's valet parking only. Those valet guys, they fucking love me. I was driving the Bentley. They parked that shit up front. I mean, first off, I'm a great tipper. I tip valets really well. 10 on the way in, 10 on the way out. I probably spent $200 on tips this week, and I don't get that back from my health insurance. But they parked it right up front. They were super into the Bentley.
Of course.
And then on the last day when Hannah was discharged, I showed up in the Dakar, and they're like, "What the fuck is this thing?" Lunatic.
I like you drove the most comfortable car to and from. And then the day you pick her up, you're like, let's get these sports seats.
Yeah.
And see how these feel. Are they buckets?
Yeah, they are.
Oh,
yeah.
Very nice. Here, Hannah, sit in this can.
Right. Fucking crazy, man. But yeah, she's getting better now. And we went out yesterday for the first time. We went to the Saucy Soiree.
Oh, she went too.
She went.
So she's feeling way better.
Yeah, our friend Dave has a sauce contest, and the theme this year was chicken nuggets. And he literally got 1,200 chicken nuggets from McDonald's. Normally, he makes the meat. That you make a sauce for the meat. There's like 18 entries, and this year I thought he was going to have the deep fryers out again, making it on the house like he did last year when it was tater tots. But no, he went to McDonald's and he was like, "I need 120 10 pieces."
You got to call ahead.
He called ahead.
The day before?
He did call ahead. Yeah, day before. Yeah, and they got it done.
Because I bet that you can't make a chicken nugget at home that will be the right consistency and everything, right? Because it's ground up weird.
Yeah, I mean,
chicken.
you could make could make a tender at home for sure, and it would probably. What I would have thought he would have gone to like Costco and got like frozen tenders and then deep fried them at home, but no, McDonald's. He actually went to McDonald's. We didn't win. Most people agreed that our sauce was very delicious, but not optimized for the chicken tender. Me and Jillian made sort of a tzatziki style sauce that's fucking banging, honestly. But I agree. I didn't know. I thought it was tenders, not McNuggets. If I had known it was McNuggets, I might have gone.
But what kind of sauce? One, a ketchup-y thing or a mustard-y
thing? It was
thing?
sort of like an aioli, chipotle aioli. It actually like was sort of like the kind of sauce you might get at McDonald's.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
I thought Dave was going to throw in a fucking bogey where he emptied like 100 packets of McDonald's sauce into one entry to just see if McDonald's beat all of us.
That would be funny. And it would be really interesting if it didn't win. Like the McDonald's scientists would be watching and
yeah.
going, what?
So to win a sauce contest is not the same as like what you want if you're just sitting there eating nuggets. Like, because when you're tasting 20 sauces, it can't just be good, it has to be memorable. Mm-hmm. So it's got to be like a little bit over the top in terms of its flavor or its color or something. And so I think like there were a bunch of sauces that were like well balanced that I'd probably would want to eat like at home all the time, but like it has to be memorable to be a winner.
That's a great ad for Burger King right now. If they were like, for McDonald's, it's fine to be good but not memorable.
Yeah,
we want to be memorable.
Yeah. But yeah, I fortunately, we made a great sauce though. I'm very happy. I have an extra bottle of it at home, so I can fucking make some Greek chicken or something. It'd be great on it.
Yeah. Wow.
Cars? Are
Yes.
there any cars? We have. We've got our top 5 movie cars we're doing this episode, but so I almost got fucking T-boned. You know what drives me fucking nuts? Here's a complaint I have about Los Angeles driving. You know how in busy intersections, when there's a side street kind of adjacent to the intersection, they have those keep clear sections?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like where you're supposed to leave the gap so if it backs up during traffic, you can still make a left across, right? So 3 lanes each way on Lincoln. Okay, I'm going to turn into the vet, turn across traffic into the vet. Mm-hmm. Light is red. 2 of the lanes are fully backed up all the way. And I go to make the turn across, and I'm going slow. I can't see that 3rd lane, but I look down and I see cars parked in it. So at least a section of that 3rd lane against the curb has cars in it. You feel me? Mm-hmm. But I go to move, and right as I inch out into that 3rd lane to go across, a fucking Prius is coming at me at about 60 miles an hour. And this was the first time I had driven the Lexus GX. And I just saw this guy and I go, yep, I'm about to get crashed into with a sick kitten on the passenger seat.
Oh my God.
And the fucking car stops about 1.5 inches from me. And he starts screaming at me for turning where I'm supposed to turn at a time when the gap has been made. Let me tell you something. If traffic is fully fucking stopped at the light and you want to go around traffic in that open lane to make a turn or whatever to fill the empty space, I am pro that. Don't do it at fucking 60. You do not need to fly up that lane when all the other cars are stopped, because that's when people are going to assume that it is safe-ish to cross.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, some people are very aggressive here.
So aggressive. Like, if he had done that at 25, he still would have been just fine. Like, you ever drive up the fucking highway and you see people just doing crazy weaves?
Yeah.
And then 30 seconds later, you who are just sitting in your lane are in exactly the same place as them?
Yeah.
The over-maneuvering and the over-aggression.
I used to over-maneuver in my 20s, but not to the degree I see where people are like, it's like, they're not quite doing the swanging thing or whatever they call it, but like they're in such an angry rush, and then 10 minutes later you're next to them and you've stayed in the same lane the whole time.
Yeah. It's such terrible math.
Yeah.
And this dude is I could see him screaming at me like there is something wrong with me for turning where I'm supposed to turn at the time I am supposed to turn when the fucking gap has been made by the other cars. What?
Doorbell?
I just heard a chime from somewhere. Was it from your computer?
No. You know, it'd be a great thing that if they taught this in driver's ed. Like, they could show you Gumball the movie, or they could show Alex's documentary, and then they could teach you the math of average speed and be like, okay, Jim, you think you're going to save a lot of time rushing to school for 2 miles. Like, let's see how much time it actually saves you if you're only able to speed for these 3/4 of a mile, and the rest of the time you're stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
And like, just teach people you're getting there 1 minute early. Maybe.
The same math could be done in electric cars, because like, for instance, when we had the Mach-E, if you were to do like 70 or 71, you could go 280 miles on a charge. If you do 78 or 79, it goes down to like 240. And so if you have to stop and charge, it actually takes you longer to get somewhere than if you were to just drive a little slower and you could do it in one.
Yeah.
So, which we're going to learn because we're driving the Lucid Sapphire up to Sonoma in a couple weeks for the Range Energy track day. So we're going to do 300 or 700 road trip miles up there and back, and then a track day in the Sapphire. So we'll see how that affects.
That's going to be so fun.
It will be.
That car's
fun.
going to be crazy fast.
It will be crazy fast.
Oh my God.
It will be crazy fast.
The uphill and then turn 3. Like, wow.
I'm excited about that. And did you see the results for Range, their test? Our friend Ali, who's been on the podcast a couple times, his company Range. Full disclosure, I am an investor in Range because I believe in the fucking tech, and I think Ali's a genius, and he allowed me to invest. But they just did a 280-mile run, stock 2022 Freightliner sleeper cab. I think it's called a Cascadia, Freightliner Cascadia.
Oh, yeah. We featured one of those on Proving Grounds.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's standard cab pulling their refrigerated trailer from Bakersfield to Vegas, 2,000-foot net gain elevation, 18.1 miles per gallon. That's double.
Yeah.
They doubled the miles per gallon on that drive.
And that's huge because some what company? I just saw
Kenworth just came out with the crazy looking Aero truck.
The Aero truck.
And they went from like
6 to 12.
Yeah. So imagine that Aero rig with a Range trailer. There, that's it. No. Where the fuck?
There, oh, wait.
It was on the drive. If you go to the drive, that's it, right?
Super truck.
Super truck too. It
We
does
call
look
it the Aero
awesome.
truck, but it looks like it would be called Aero truck.
It does look awesome.
It does. It's also a center.
It looks like the Tesla Semi actually from the interior. How about that?
It does look a lot like that.
I mean, maybe having a center driving position is the most aerodynamic.
Well, the cab is narrower, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
You're like, why do we need 2 seats here?
But even with that crazy design, they went from 9 to 12.
Yeah.
Right, which is like a 30% improvement, and there's decimal places there, but yeah, Range went from they doubled it in a refrigerated truck.
That is amazing.
Pretty cool. Very stoked about that. And so we're going to be hanging out with them, and we're going to see if we can charge the Lucid off of the Range trailer at Sonoma, which we can.
I got to take my Series 7, and then I can be an accredited investor.
Yeah.
You don't know what that is, but I'll tell you.
Don't know what
later.
that is. I've seen Boiler Room.
It's a thing.
Right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what Boiler Room is
It's a cancer pill.
I love in Boiler
Big
Room.
Bird mode.
I do love
a
the
good movie.
shitbag cars and stuff in Boiler Room. That didn't make my top 5 movie cars because they're just regular cars. But I would say top 5 movie parking lots. The office parking lot in Boiler Room would make it. There's like a Diablo, a 355,
355 Spider.
Yeah.
Of course.
A couple Range Rovers.
And there's like Grand Cherokees and stuff.
Yeah. I do not buy Vin Diesel as a stockbroker, though. Ben
No.
Affleck, yes, definitely. Vin Diesel, no.
Vin's not in much of it, though. Remember the guy's like, he's like, 6 feet? And he goes, yeah, it's a synchro mesh. And he's like, oh, you bought the flappy paddle 355 Spider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so should we do that? Should we go to the movie cars?
Yeah. So,
Okay.
Theme of the show, top 5 movie cars.
Yeah. Folks, we got to take one more break from the show for Delete Me. I love Delete Me because your privacy online is probably not as private as you think. Have you ever been scammed, or someone that you know has been scammed, or the victim of identity theft, or harassed, annoyed by robocalls? God, I get robocalls all the time. Privacy matters, right? And there's only so much you can do without delete me, but because we're easy targets. We put ourselves on the internet. We buy stuff, we shop, we sign up for things, and then those sites, they sell your data through data brokers. That's why delete me is here. Your name, contact info, social security number, home address, and et cetera, are all being compiled by these data brokers and sold online, and people can buy it. It can lead to identity theft, phishing attempts, harassment, and spam calls, but you can protect your privacy with Delete Me. It's great. They will basically scour the internet, and they will find and remove any personal information that you don't want online and make sure it stays off. Delete Me is a subscription service that removes your personal info from the largest people search database on the web, and in the process helps prevent potential ID theft, doxing, and phishing scams. Just sign up and provide Delete Me with exactly the information you want deleted, and their experts take it from there. Delete Me will then send you regular personalized privacy reports showing what info they found, where they found it, and what they removed. Delete Me is not just a one-time service. Delete Me is always working for you, constantly monitoring and removing the personal information you don't want on the internet. To put it simply, Delete Me does all the hard work of wiping you and your family's personal info off the web. Data brokers hate Delete Me. So when you sign up, Delete Me immediately goes to work scrubbing all your personal information from data broker platforms. Your personal profile is no longer theirs to sell. Take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me. Now, at a special discount for listeners, you can get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/tire and use promo code TIRE at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/tire and enter code TIRE at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/tire. Use code TIRE. Now, back to the program.
Cars that have been in movies.
Not car chase scenes. Yeah, movie cars. They know they could be fictional or real. Yeah. No rules.
Right.
Yeah.
Time machine.
Cars featured in movies.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, half of the great ones are fake or like, wouldn't exist in the real world, but that's okay.
Only one of mine wouldn't exist in the real world,
which is the DeLorean time machine.
Actually, two, okay. One is number one is the DeLorean time machine.
Right.
It could exist in the real world other than the time traveling function.
And the flight.
The flight, yes. The hover conversion, the time traveling function, yes. But DeLoreans do exist in the real world. But yes, the Back to the Future DeLorean. Do you have that on the list as well?
No, I knew you would, but I like that you're like, but DeLorean, the flying time machine part is not real, but the DeLorean part is. Okay,
right. No,
correct.
I mean, only one of my five is like a fully fictional car.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, me too. Most of them, mine are real cars you could buy and drive today.
Yeah.
Or one you could build today, we'll say.
In fact, and you could get a screen-accurate DeLorean and drive it around right now. You could call my friend Danny Botkin and get one.
He'll build you one, right?
Yeah. The best DeLorean replicas are the ones that like the ones that, well, there's some really janky ones obviously, but when they start to get good, the ones that are like a 7 or an 8, they look too nice. They're too clean. The parts are like too me. Like in the movie, and if you go to the Peterson, you see the A car. It's a little like dirty and handmade looking and like nice, but like slightly janky.
It looks, and I mean this genuinely, it looks like it has traveled through time, been on adventures.
Yeah.
And Doc's not going to wash it.
Yeah. I think that. I mean, I think that possibly is the best movie car of all time.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, it's and
it's like Superman. You're like, who's the best superhero? Like the one who's invincible and can fly. I mean, what? That's the way they started at the top. So like that thing can travel through time and fly.
And it looks like it could have been built by a smart guy in a shed.
Yeah.
And also it's 1984 when they made this movie, 30 years ago. The use of a DeLorean is actually sort of a commentary on the fact that the company had just failed. Doc Brown wasn't super rich in Back to the Future 1. He's living in a shed next to a Burger King. And so those DeLoreans were worthless. I mean, we know where we're going with this. If they remade this now, it would be a Cybertruck.
Not yet. It would be a Cybertruck in a couple 20 years.
In a couple years.
Yeah.
But the commentary.
It would be a Fisker Ocean.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. When he says, why not do it with some style? It did look good, but also like a sort of broke scientist would have been able to get a DeLorean because the company had just failed and the cars were like worthless. So kind of interesting. What's your number one?
My number one is, I didn't put them in any particular
they're not
order.
Not in order. Not in order.
The Mustang from Bullitt, the 68 GT Fastback. It's not like the most interesting. It's not a time machine or anything like that, but
doesn't need to be.
Doesn't need
cool
to
car.
be. 390 horsepower, 390 cubic inch, which only made 335 horsepower. You could get a low power version of that engine, which was like 225 back in the day, like 225
which is what
horsepower.
they put in like the Country Squire or something.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so this was high output, but very classic. It's green. It has magnesium wheels, but the car chase, of course, solidifies it. And I think it's why I love fastback Mustangs today. It's probably why so many other people do. The car chase. By the way, the movie sucks, and Steve McQueen's personal life
also
outside
sucks.
movies also sucks.
Yeah,
and his acting, fine.
We've really revised Steve McQueen into something worth respecting.
Who?
We as a people.
Oh well,
men.
I don't think they. Well, yeah,
he's a piece of shit.
He was super famous, and they capitalized on that for 50 years.
Yeah.
But the movie is boring as hell. Don't watch it. I did.
Yeah.
But the car chase is almost 11 minutes long, which is pretty awesome.
I think if they had that car chase in a movie from the 90s or early 2000s, they could have used basically all the same shots, and it would have been 3.5 minutes. It is such a slow, drawn-out car chase.
It is, except what I like about that is it feels very real.
Yeah, real time.
It feels real time, and it's the only tense thing in the movie.
Yeah.
The movie fucking sucks.
I tried to watch it all the way through once. I fell asleep like 3 times.
It's so
terrible.
bad, but
Yeah.
but I think it just makes it feel like a very real car chase, and the tension keeps building. And there's long shots instead of today where everything is like a quick cut, a slide, a quick cut. The driving's real, the stunts are real. So for that reason, I think this is a great movie car. Now, I do think you could make that chase again, and you could put almost any car as the hero car, and it would work.
Yeah.
It's not car specific.
They did make that chase again in The Rock. And I think The Rock's car chase scene is better with the Hummer and the Ferrari.
I think it's the modern version where it's going to crash through windows and all that stuff. But the Ferrari flies out of a window and then keeps driving. That wouldn't happen.
Well, no, of course not.
So that's why I think this movie, you see it hit a guardrail and it keeps going. It felt really authentic.
Possible.
It felt possible.
Yeah.
So that's why I love this movie car.
Interesting. I don't disagree with you. And we had the Revology Bullet car here,
Yep.
and there's the blue one downstairs, which is the same but not Bullet. It's on the Instagram. Do you see that one? The blue one that's here. We're managing at top left. We're managing Revology's press fleet here at Westside Collector Car Storage, and these 2 Mustangs we've got. The one on the left is a Bullet quote, but it's just not green. It's the Bullet spec. It's blue, and then there's a '65 convertible. Those cars have no 1960s parts in them at all. They are not resto mods. They are brand new builds. And that blue fucking GT has the door slam of a G-Wagon. Unbelievably tight.
Nice.
They're fucking all the money, them things. They're like $300,000. But when you only Icons are the only other cars that I've ever seen of that era that have a tighter fucking door slam or as tight as these. These things are fucking sweet. These both are automatics. When they have a manual, then we're gonna make a film of it. I'm not anti-personally automatics, but I know our audience wants to see a stick one.
Yeah,
So
totally.
when the stick one comes in.
Hell yes.
Yeah, they're fucking great. Here's something funny. So yes, that sauce contest I was at yesterday, right? My friend Dave, who runs it, and most of his friends are in the visual effects business. They all work in the movies. So we're talking about, what movies they're working on, and they're in post for this, and there's going to be some interesting stuff coming out. But one of my friends says, yo, this movie I'm working on, and he told me what the movie is, but I'm not going to say it. It got an NC-17 rating, and so we had to change some stuff. And I was like, what kind of shit did you have to change? And they said, well, the movie rating system is this like black box, right? There's a documentary about it called "This Film Is Not Yet Rated" that's really worth watching. He said it works just like that. It's crazy. It's like a mafia thing, and one of the things that could bump your movie from R to NC-17 is, quote, real-time sex scenes. Mm-hmm. So if the sex scene is a montage, that's R. If it's real time, then it's like
if
porn.
There's no cuts.
Yeah, then it's like porn. So he's like, we had to like
there's no cuts in porn.
Yeah, he's
That's
like, so
funny.
we had to put some cutaways to like burning candles and shit, and then it passed. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
That is a really funny rule.
Yeah, and then they were talking about all the shit they had to change to release the movies in China, and then the fucking it went off really off the rails.
Game,
yeah.
I mean, they'll change the movie poster.
Yeah,
there.
but just you talking about a real time car chase made me think of real time sex scenes that had to be changed. I learned that yesterday.
That's really funny.
Yeah, but I don't disagree. That is an iconic car, even though that movie is a piece of junk. Number 2, my only fully fictional car, the Batmobile from the Michael Keaton Batman, the 1990, or is it 89 or 90, Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson, Kim Basinger Batman. That's the Tim Burton era of Batmans. While not necessarily the most functional Batmobile, I think
right.
Very, very one of my favorites. The proportions of it, the fact that it seems to be turbine powered. I think it's really just yes. That's my favorite Batmobile.
I mean, it had a presence on screen, especially
Right.
when we were kids. You're like, holy shit,
Yeah.
this can go 400 miles per hour probably.
Yeah.
Can it actually turn left on a New York street? Doubtful, because it looks like it's 80 feet long. But it looks awesome.
And before this, it wasn't like now, in the modern era, we went through a series of these types of Batmobiles, these sort of cartoonish But before this, it was like the Barris Batmobile.
Right.
Which was like a Lincoln Futura concept car just with some stickers and weird shit stuck to it. This was like a truly revolutionary kind of Batmobile.
This looked like it came from the comic where your imagination can make anything. Whereas the Barris one was like it's a car.
It's a car.
It still looks like a car.
Yeah.
And then the next generation was like the Tumbler, which looks like Bruce Wayne owns a defense contracting company and they made the tank.
Yeah, the Tumbler, also iconic, and if I was to think of what is objectively the best Batmobile, it's probably that. But like this one, as far as a movie prop, that one does it for me. Plus, I saw that when I was 9, and I was like, "Yep, that's the one." And it looks like it has a dick coming out of the front of it, which I think is very Batman.
That's very well. Then they had the nipples era of the Batman suits.
It also had the center caps, like a Rolls Royce, that don't spin.
It did.
Those bats stay fixed. I like that.
And I think they had a car-to-car shot to show that those stayed straight up and down.
Yeah.
That's
That's a
cool.
good Batmobile.
That is a good Batmobile.
Yeah.
All right. My next one is the Porsche Turbo 3.
Oh, I have that as well.
3.6
The
from
Bad
Bad
Boys
Boys.
Porsche. Yep. Cannot go wrong. I mean,
Boom.
yeah. It really fits Will Smith's character in that movie perfectly well.
And it was Michael Bay's personal car.
Oh, was it?
It was. He put it. This was his film debut, which is amazing considering how big it was. But he put the car in the movie. That's what he said in an interview, which I
guess The Rock was after this.
Yeah.
Oh.
This movie was made in like 95, I think.
Yeah, The Rock was like 96 or 97.
95.
Yeah.
So 3.6. This was like the evolution. I mean, you know more about Porsche than I do, but
it's the one to have.
The 930 had a 3.3 liter turbo. This got a 3.6, and they only made 1,500 worldwide. I think only 450 came to the United States.
Yeah, they're rare.
They're super rare and expensive. But for me, it was kind of like you with the Batmobile. At the time, as a kid, teenager, I guess, I wasn't that into Porsche. Like they weren't in Santa Cruz. I'd seen. Like, my dad's friend from school had one in Chicago, and I was like, oh, this lawyer guy has a Porsche convertible, but, I didn't care. But then there's a low front 3/4 rolling shot in the beginning with this, and I was like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Like the paint, the wheels, like all of it, the stance, the lack of dead cat space, like the whole thing was stunning to me.
Yeah.
And then, of course, like there's the car chase at the end, which is awesome, but it landed in my brain. And then I watched this movie probably 30 times in my teenage years.
And Martin Lawrence like talks shit about it in the beginning, which is really funny, about there not being cup holders and like
just a dick with 2 chairs in it.
Yeah.
We the balls rolling the fuck along.
Yeah. It is an excellent car.
Yeah. And it is objectively like a good performance car.
Also
too.
that. Yeah. Great car. Can't argue. Yeah. Okay.
This one, sorry, real quick. Michael Bay's car sold at auction for like 1.4 million.
Mm-hmm.
He sold it to a friend a long time ago for 60 grand,
Mm-hmm.
and that friend sold it for 45.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
no, these cars
when.
were not worth a lot. I mean, 964 turbos were not worth much money for a long time. Brian Scotto bought one fucking for nothing and cut it up and turned it into an RWB.
Yeah.
And now those all 964 turbos are very rare. They didn't make a lot, and especially a turbo 3.6, which was only for 94, and they're worth a fortune. Yeah.
God, it's
Great cars. They're a lot of fun to drive too. My next one, the Oldsmobile 442 from Demolition Man. And not because I am particularly I happen to love Demolition Man. Those of you have heard me talk about my Demolition Man themed bathroom at my house. But it's actually more of what I think this car represents, and we've talked about this with some experts, that in the sort of post-apocalyptic future where all cars are connected and self-driving and everything, it's always someone who finds an old disconnected piece of tech to save the day, you know. And in the movie Demolition Man, when Simon Phoenix, played by Wesley Snipes, has sort of co-opted the city's resources by being programmed how to like operate everything, and Stallone is an old school cop and needs to save the day, and there's this. They find this old is literally underground classic muscle car. They have a great chase with a stolen police cruiser driven by Wesley Snipes, and I think it's less about the Oldsmobile 442 itself and more about like what it represents, even in a movie from 25 years ago, 30 years ago. About some of the dangers of a totally connected, quote, utopian society.
Yeah.
Where you need something disconnected when the connected system gets totally co-opted by bad actors.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Yeah.
And it kind of brings me to one of my movie cars, which is the Audi thing from iRobot.
Oh, yeah.
And that is super connected. And I just thought it was cool, like the way the wheels could move any direction. And I thought that was an interesting piece of tech. And I know that every 6 years, like some company will make a concept car that does that. I think Mercedes just did it like last year.
Yeah.
With like these
it's like spheres
that can move in any direction electromagnetically or something like that. And it's a really cool idea that maybe in 100 years will happen.
Right.
But I just thought that thing, and it was like an R8, you know, sort of underneath it, but dressed up with a bunch of like weird foam body panels.
Yeah. That one
cool.
reminded me of the Lexus from Minority Report. Same kind of vibe.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Very concept car-y vibe. The funny thing about that Oldsmobile in Demolition Man is that GM really had a big hand in the movie. They lent all their 90s concept cars to be future cars in the movie. When the Oldsmobile pops out of the ground from the underground garage, it's right in front of an Oldsmobile dealer that has the then new Aurora. Remember the Oldsmobile Aurora?
Yeah.
They debuted it in this movie. It was in the showroom behind where this thing pops out.
Smart placement.
Yeah. There's a lot of GM.
The GM concept cars were really cool in that movie.
They were,
because they were futuristic looking enough.
They absolutely made sense. There was like 15 concept cars. They're all in that trading card set I have on my wall in the bathroom.
Oh yeah, you do have that. Okay.
Yeah. The iRobot car.
I mean, quick nod to it. Like, there's no specs or anything.
Yeah, it's fully fake.
It's a fully fake
Although, you
car.
know what? The Volkswagen XL1 looks a lot like it.
Oh, yeah, but the XL1 has a
Aerodynamically.
much narrower back end. But I mean, from the side, it's like, all right, it's a TT with a little bit of R8 in the front,
Uh-huh.
and the magic spheres
Yeah.
that could just roll any direction. And that had cool car chase scenes with the robots and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But that is on my list. I think the most movie-ish car.
Definitely
because the tech
R8
doesn't
design
exist.
language in there. Yeah.
But with the special doors.
All right, my last one is a major oddball, but I love this one. Cannonball Run 2, which is the worst of the 3 Cannonball Run films. 1974 Cadillac Fleetwood Custom from Cannonball Run 2. And I love this car. There it is. Look at top row there, that. So this is a limousine, right, with the front windshield and cab cut open, almost like a car from the 20s would be, right? Can you make that a little bigger?
Yeah.
And what these guys do, it's like a hokey, the guys that are entering the Cannonball are like car dealers from the South, and this is like one of their gimmicks to get people to come to their dealer, and they enter it in the Cannonball. So you drive from the back seat. So that they're driving it. The front is a fake chauffeur, and they've got a literal monkey, like an orangutan.
That's pretty great.
Which the monkey looks like he's driving, but the guy sitting behind the monkey actually has a steering wheel and shit, and is driving.
Oh, that's genius.
It's really awesome.
I've never seen this movie, but now I wish I had because that's genius.
I wonder if there's more photos of it
here's
if you
the monkey.
scroll down. Yeah, the monkey gets pulled over. I mean, this movie's a piece of shit, but like. There's a monkey flipping off a couple of cops.
Yeah, they're on Highway 1, and chips are getting flipped off by a monkey.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It's pretty rad. I don't know whatever happened to the car, but I really like the idea of a fake chauffeur in the front and actually driving from the back.
And then the chauffeur could nap. Like you could play a lot of jokes on people on the highway until the cops got called.
I would like to see Freddie build this car.
Oh, Freddie, do it.
Yeah. Scroll. Is there an interior shot if you scroll down maybe? Fucking monkey driving the thing. It's pretty funny. It's a good bit, actually.
That is a pretty good bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess there's not a lot of I'm sure if we pulled up the YouTubes we could find a sign, but it's just a goof, but I really like that movie car.
Did you do 4 or 5 already?
I did 5, but we matched on the Bad Boys card. Do you have one more?
Oh, that's why. I had 2 more, but
okay, sorry, I might have jumped ahead.
No, it's okay. I don't care. So these photos were shot by Webb.
Webland?
Your Webb. Webland.
Webland.
Shot some photos.
Designer of my home.
Of the off-road Charger from Fast and Furious 7. I mean, this combines 2 of my loves, which is, I want to be off-road racer and then old cars. But it was really hard. I couldn't find any specs on this thing. It was like no engine shit, no nothing. But the guy that built this has been running the car program for Fast and Furious since the third one, and the cut fenders are awesome. Or sorry, the flared fenders. If you see it from where's the angle? Like here.
There you go.
This is so good. Just protruding inches away from the door, like open to help evacuate heat or just to be awesome.
I wonder if it's a Charger under there, or if they've put a Charger body on a 1500
like
truck or something. Yeah,
I don't know.
Might be a whole tube frame deal.
It's probably.
Does it show any interior photos on the gallery?
Oh, there we go. Look at that fender. That is the coolest shit.
That is rad. I like that a lot.
Full like roll cage, everything.
I did like when in Fast and Furious they went through their phase of we're going to make our cars real crazy, but functional. That doesn't look like there's any Charger in there at all.
No.
That looks like a trophy truck that they've put a Charger body on.
That's fine. I'm okay
Which is
with
okay.
that.
Yeah, no hate there.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
Yeah, fair. I think it's probably like the stock chassis wouldn't handle anything anyway, so they just cut the body off and then
that's a
bolt it
good
on.
one.
So that one's awesome. And then I have an honorable mention,
okay,
which is kind of silly. So I was watching the Ronin car chase, one of the most famous car chases, of course, right? Again, it's like practical effects. And I'm going, well, the E34 M5 is cool, but it's like, I don't know, just looks like a 5 Series.
Yeah.
S8 with nitrous, funny, but not a great car. Fine. And then as I'm watching, I'm just going to pull up the document. As I'm watching the car chase, I keep noticing something. And this is going to be my 5th car. It's not a car. It is the neck of Robert De Niro. Because Every time they cut to him, like he's whipping this Peugeot, I think, around, chasing down the M5, and he's driving, and I think he's doing some of his own stunt driving. But the way he is squishing his neck because he's like afraid of what he's doing, and I wrote it down, but like he looks like an architect who caught my stomach bug and just realized it on the way home. Every shot of him, he got his just like his chin is smashed into his own sternum, and he's like, "Oh, here we go." And for someone who is known for looking cool all the time,
that's the least cool he's ever looked.
The least cool he's ever looked.
That's pretty funny.
So my fifth movie car would be Robert De Niro's neck in Ronin.
That's pretty funny. If you pause there, it looks particularly uncool.
They use this shot. They cut to this angle a lot, and is
it not better when it's moving?
No, because he does, and it's not like they use the same shot a bunch of times. He's pressing his face back because he's like, "Oh God, I got to pull the handbrake. I'm pulling the handbrake."
Bob, look like you're about to die.
There you
Bob, no more. Suck your chin in,
it's like,
Bob.
okay, left foot braking, and then we got to turn him. We got to whip this thing, and he's just like jamming his head into the back seat. So,
Suck in your chin, Bob. That's really fucking funny. Yeah, Bob. All right. Let's go to the Patreon. Of course, if you want to ask questions for the show, if you want to catch it live, if you want to get the show ahead of time, if you want a bunch of other bonusy shit, patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast is where you get it. And we got a lot of patrons growing every day. It is really superb. So let's see what the people have to say over there. Dave Cucci says, the other day I saw a V6 convertible SN95 Mustang with collector plates. In my area, anything older than 25 years can be registered as a collector classic. What's the worst vehicle you've seen collector plates on? I don't remember specific vehicles offhand, but like I'm pretty sure I've seen like antique plates on like Volvos and like just like random Chevys and shit from the 80s. Just like regular ass boring cars, like stuff that's not memorable actually.
I don't think I see collector plates that much. Is it not personalized plates? We're talking like historic
No,
plate?
like you can get a plate that says like historic vehicle or antique vehicle.
I only see it on really old things.
Yeah, most people don't bother. Because in California, I don't think you get any kind of like a special break on registration or anything like that until it gets like really, really old. But I have seen it on... I've seen them on otherwise completely unmemorable cars, and it made me wonder why somebody would go out of their way to get this plate on this dumb car, but like, whatever. Let's see. Flannel Bob said, who drove the coolest car in your high school, and what was it? That's a good question. Mm-hmm. Who drove the coolest car in your high school, and what was it?
This guy named Dominic Dollar. He was in our muscle car club, but he...
His last name really Dollar?
Yeah.
D-O-L-L-A-R?
Yeah, and he had the nicest car, which...
Dom Dollar?
Dom Dollar.
Guys, that guy's definitely running a buy here, pay here.
I feel like I think his older brother became a big wave surfer, like Santa Cruz Mavericks kind of stuff. But I don't know what Dominic does. But Dominic Dollar had whatever his car was a '66 Nova, but it had a crate engine in it. Like he had a car that you or I today would go to Barrett Jackson and buy as a daily and be like, this is a great pro touring car. So for some reason he had that when the rest of us had kind of ramshackle things. And everyone drag raced him once and then went, oh, that sucked. I lost because your shit works and goes real fast. And that was kind of that. But that was the cool. It was like cream white, like ZZ 430 Chevy engine. I mean, it had like 400 horsepower when the rest of us were making 250.
That was a lot back then.
Yeah. So that was the coolest car.
Yeah. So my high school, I went to a country day. So my high school, when you say coolest car, you got to divide. There's a division.
What is a country day school?
It's a private school.
Okay, they just call it Country Day. It's
yeah,
an East Coast
I
thing.
went to Rye Country Day, and there was also a Rye High, but there was also like Greenwich Country Day. There was like a bunch of Country Days.
I saw it in Rhode Island too when we were there. Okay.
It's like a East Coast. It's just like it's what they would call the fucking private school, as opposed to boarding school, right?
Right.
So
because it's a day school, you only go for the daytime.
Yeah. So, but if you see a Country Day, it's pretty fucking hoity-toity. So there was like the rich kid cars, and then there was like the what you'd probably call cool like car guy cars. So like me and Larry and our two other friends, like we all had Mustangs. We all had 5.0 Mustangs, and we had like a little car club. And so like we probably had like the coolest cars, right? In terms of like, we were the only people that had cars that were like modified, you know, had built motors and stuff like that. Nobody else had anything like that. But like the rich kids, I mean, and not that I wasn't a rich kid, but like the really rich kids, like there was a level of rich that was several orders of magnitude above me.
They had helicopter parents because they actually traveled by helicopter.
Helicopter parents actually dropped them off in helicopters. No, the really rich kids, there was an E36 M3, which was the current gen M3 at the time. There was multiple B5 Audi S4s, 3 or 4 of them, all of which were totaled, all of them. And I think those were probably the nicest, the S4s or the M3. That was about the highest up it went. There was no like Porsche or anything like that, but there was a lot of hand-me-down Tahoes and Grand Cherokees from parents, like the 94, 95 Grand Cherokee Tahoe. When we started driving in 97, those all went to the kids. So there was like 16-year-old girls driving Tahoes and shit, which was like crazy at the time.
My friend had that, his parents, I should say, had that Cherokee that came with a V8. It was like the 5.6 or something like that.
Yeah, the 5.9 Magnum.
And it had a diff in it, and he let me drive it home one night, and I learned that you shouldn't hit the gas too hard on a hairpin turn in the wet, because I definitely pointed the headlights at a guardrail. It was at like 5 miles per hour. It was a tight turn.
But you learned what understeer was.
No, it oversteered.
Oh, really?
It was like, whoop, and I went, whoa. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's it'll do that.
That's a thing you do.
That was a lesson, yeah.
There was more memorable was that than the cars was that there was a couple of kids, especially a year older than me, that crashed their cars like spectacularly, only to have them replaced with better cars.
With faster cars, or
like
with
one guy named Jeremy, and I won't use his last name. Like there was a legit jump by our school, and it was like a bullet, like from San Francisco, where it's down, flat, down. I mean, and it was a big fucking air jump. And these kids hit it in his Grand Cherokee at like 60 and had a fucking like quadruple rollover into a tree. They all got hurt.
Oh my God.
They all got hurt like bad. And then like after that, like the dude with the Grand Cherokee, like once he recovered, like 6 months later, brand new BMW 328 IS to replace it. You know, like other kids got like...
You can't roll it, Mom. It's slower.
Yeah, kid got a crash. His car got a Dewey, crashed. I mean, a teenager got a Dewey in a crash, and his car was replaced with something, you know, brand new, just as nice. Like that was crazy. Like my parents helped me buy my first car, but I assure you, if I crashed it drunk, I was not getting another one. Like that was why I was so paranoid about that kind of shit. Yeah. Let's see. David says, are there any factory paint colors that you've seen from everyday normal manufacturers that are so good you wonder why high-end makers don't just copy it?
He points out Mazda red. That is a beautiful red.
Mazda red is good. But I talk about this every year. Ford paints a car a color that they are absolutely losing money on.
Oh, like the silver on your Mach-E?
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
The silver on the Mach-E, nitrous blue on the Focus RS, the green on the Bronco Raptor, the like emerald green or whatever that is, the original molten orange in the RS. All of those colors have like a deep, deep sparkle to them that there's no way Ford was making any money on those colors. I don't know of any other manufacturers that are really doing that. Have you ever? What's the last like? If you ask Larry Casilla, and it's not specific to the aesthetic of a color, but Larry says that Subarus come with like amazing quality paint.
Oh wow, they did not always.
For like a regular car, they're the best quality paint of any like regular car on the road, which is interesting.
Yeah. Where did I just see? Well, I saw an Alfa Giulia today that was in a blue, and it's a great blue, but it's also a really good-looking car. I don't know. I think it's like it's nice when a car like a Mazda or something cheaper, like Ford Mach-E normal car, has a color that you go, oh, normally I would expect that on, and Mercedes, Porsche, something. But it's not that it's trickle down. It's like they put the effort and the money into putting this really great color on the car, because they need to stand out, and that's something. Prius, like every Prius here, is that gray.
Yeah.
Because they want it to look clean but kind of cool. So they don't want it to stand out, but they want it to send some kind of message. And I think with Mazda, they're kind of the underdogs in every class they're in.
Yeah.
But if they can make a color that pops, it helps their ads, and people love red, then great. But it's not a flat red. It's got flake in it, and maybe that's where the cost comes from.
Yeah. Mazda's red is good.
It's very good.
Yeah. Tom R. says, I'm putting Koni adjustables on my 944 Turbo this week because they're the only choice for new shocks and struts. Should I start them at full soft, set them in the middle, or full hard? You can only adjust rebound. I want it to be a good GT car, no tracking.
Well, if you can adjust them, then I'd start at full soft and then drive it for a week.
Yeah.
And then do medium and drive it for a week. And take notes. Drive the same route.
Yeah.
And then see what you like.
Yeah, I would start them at full soft, and I mean, assuming that you're comfortable adjusting them, adjust as needed.
Yeah.
It depends on it'll depend like on your tires and wheels choice also, like, and the ride height you set them at. I guess you can only adjust rebound. Does that means it's not a height adjustable suspension? It's just a
probably
shock.
not.
So it's just going to be clicks on top of the shocks?
I don't know. Koni's on an 86 turbo. I have no idea.
Yeah, because the 2 wrenches is height, right? When you got the 2 wrenches, that's height.
Yeah.
And he's not talking about height.
No.
So if it's just, I would set them to full soft, drive for a little while, and then
And if it's only rebound, if you go over a bump and it bounces, more than twice, like if that bump continues with you long after you've driven past it, that means your rebound is too soft. Then you could stiffen it up and go to medium. What you want is a car to go over a bump, go down once and then settle. Like that's what you want. So the rebound is the rate at which the shock will push or like slow down that spring from expanding back.
Yeah.
So if it's too soft, the spring will like pogo you down the road.
Yeah. Are we going to read that next one? Do we need to?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Night Cheese says, I bought a new Integra Type S. I loved it during the test drive, but after a few weeks of ownership, I hate to admit that it just isn't for me, and I regret having bought it. If you were in a position where you bought a new car you didn't want anymore, what would you do? Hold on, wait to sell, cut my losses and trade in, light it on fire and roll it off a cliff? I mean, I feel like I don't know what the market is. Can you get out of that car for pretty even money right now? I mean, an Integra Type S is still a pretty hot car. Yeah. I don't think I've seen a single one on the road yet that wasn't a press car. So if you've got one, I'm pretty sure you could get out of it for even money if it's only got light miles on it. I mean,
probably. I
mean, or I mean, you don't want to drive something you don't like.
Right.
So I wouldn't hold on to it. It will only depreciate from today.
Yeah.
Like if you want out of it, I'd get out of it now. I'd list it on Cars and Bids, and detail it great, photograph it great, and okay, maybe you lose a little bit of money because you paid taxes on it or something, but you'll probably get most of your money back.
Yeah, you'll lose more money with every day that passes until it's 25 years old or something.
Right.
And then people will go, wow, these are amazing, and then you'll regret selling it. But
right.
If you don't like it today, then get rid of it. Yeah. Otherwise, you're just every day you're gonna. I wish I hadn't bought this. You're gonna just mull over it all the time, and then then that will build, and you'll eventually sell it 6 months from now, and you'll lose even more money.
Right. Yeah, I agree. All the pizza in my belly. Where does the manual CT4V Blackwing land in the recent M3 comparison?
Ooh.
I prefer the Blackwing to the M3. I think it's a little more communicative towards the driver.
100%. Steering's way better.
Yeah.
It feels more like the old school M3. It feels like the F80 a little bit, but with better suspension.
Yeah, I'd rather have that. It's less money. Mm-hmm. I don't need the all-wheel drive, and it's not carrying around the weight of an all-wheel drive system. The manual one is the better one. I like that. Mm-hmm. I'd want to buy it in a manual. I think it looks really good.
I think it looks better than the new M3. Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. I don't think it looks as good as the F80 does.
And I like the user interface better. The Blackwing's user interface is just fine. It's got buttons for important things. And
Yeah, it does.
It's good. Yeah, I'd rather have the Blackwing than the new M3, for sure. Especially if I'm spending real money.
Someone in my building bought a Lyric. Have you seen one of those in person?
Yeah.
It was a weird-looking vehicle.
It's a weird-looking car. I was driving by some dealers yesterday on the way back from Thousand Oaks, where the thing was. All them dealers along the 101. I'll tell you what, there are EVs fucking piled up. Mercedes EQ cars. I drove by Cadillac Lyrics. Fucking a lot of them BMW i cars. Dude, there has never been a better time to buy an electric car. They are making deals.
Oh, yeah.
They want to clear them shits out. In fact, I was talking to Hannah about this. We probably, we've got this Macan on order, but there's no deals there, right? That's full boat, and it's an expensive car. Ioniq, if we wanted it, which I like it. She wasn't that into it. Fine. Still, it's, full boat. There's no deals on that. There's fucking ADM on those. But like, the Kia EV6 GT, you can get one of those right now for like $300 a month.
And
with
that,
no
I think,
money
is
down.
A great looking car.
I could get the exact same Mach-E we just got out of for $200 a month less than we were just paying for our other one.
Whoa.
And so, both Hannah and I are like, for a car that's just to fucking run errands in, pretty much, like, why would we not just take advantage of these deals and save like all this money?
Yeah.
Like, there's value in getting the Macan in terms of, can we make content with it? Fine. But like, not if it's $900 a month or $950 a month compared to like $300 a month for what is essentially a utility vehicle.
Yeah. We definitely want to offset that cost difference in
Rivian's
content.
A Rivian R1T right now, $550 a month. It's $5,000 down, $5,000 down, but $550 a month for a Rivian. I mean, not bad.
That's wild.
Unfortunately, the offer does not extend to the S. It's only the T, and we don't want the pickup truck.
Right.
But even the S is like, it's like $6 something a month. It's like $6,000 down though. So the math isn't like as good because the down payment's pretty high, but like I could get into a Mach-E for a lot less money. I'm like, do you just want another Mach-E? Because that's fine. Like,
right. It's a thing you know.
Yeah. Ooh. So I don't know. Also, all the pizza in my belly says, for pure smiles, where does the ND2 Miata end up versus a GR86?
The ND2 Miata. I prefer the GR86 in basically every way. I mean, the Miata is a very good car, and it's a very good Miata, but I prefer having a 2+2 with folding rear seats. I like the dynamics of the BRZ GR twins. I like them a lot. I think the Miata suspension's too soft. It's just, I think it has a better engine. That's about it.
I think the defining characteristic of a Miata is that it is a convertible. That's it, right? It's a roadster. Mm-hmm. And when you drive it around with the top up, it's loud. It's not that fun with the top up. It's less convenient than the 86, which is a coupe. So dynamically, it's single digit percentage points either way for me. They're both fun. They're both engaging. I think the 86s are a little sharper, particularly if we're talking about the TS, a little sharper. And fits more in the trunk. You got that back seat. You got Huck stuff back there. You could fold it down. More practical. More of a, quote, real car. But if you want to drive with the top down, that is a defining. That's why, like, it's when people ask me to compare those two, that is such a defining differentiator between those cars. Do you want a convertible or not?
Right. If you think a convertible is more fun, that is more smiles. Right. If you don't, then that is less smiles.
If you don't, it's going to be a pain in the dick. If you buy a Miata to drive around with the top up all the time, you're going to hate it. Because everything it's all focused towards the top down experience, and you put the top up because it's raining or it's parked. So, and the RF, I would not get the RF.
It's expensive.
Yeah. It's heavier. It doesn't make it that much quieter.
Mm-hmm. So, true.
Christian says, would Zack consider a Mirai now that they're sub 10K?
Hell no. Yeah. Still got to deal with the infrastructure, and that is the big problem.
Sean says, what are the most fun cars for driving between 10 and 70 miles an hour? I keep I keep test driving high-end sports cars looking to upgrade, and none of them are as fun as my modified Miata between those speeds, which is 95% of my driving. GR Corolla, that's very fun between 10 and 70.
Yeah, because then I think the turbo experience is actually more fun until, whereas the NA Miata stuff for me is like momentum.
Yeah.
You get the accelerate. When I drove that GR in our comparison video where I tested it for like 5 minutes, I was like, this is insane.
Yeah.
There's so much more torque.
Yeah.
There's so much more power.
I mean, I would also say, the Integra Type S, even though the other patron didn't like it so much, I thought it was great.
That's a good
at
car.
those speeds. Minis are great at those speeds. I don't like the newest styling of minis, but certainly like a R53 is great.
Super fun.
Yeah, Boxsters and Caymans. I mean, they're fun at higher speeds too, but they're also fun at lower speeds. Very engaging.
I think the recipe that they are hinting on and that we're hitting on is correct. A smaller car, not huge power, and something that has short enough gearing where you enjoy accelerating from 10 to 70. Because anything like he says, F-Type R, 911, some of those are geared so tall. Second goes to 60 plus miles per hour, and then third is usually a big step, and so you're not shifting that much. You can't stay in the pedal that long because you're going too fast, and so you actually just want something slower.
Yeah. Dre in Houston, have you ever modded a car and realized that you have gone too far? Going almost straight pipe on a 997S was my moment.
That's loud.
Yeah. I mean, I have. Here's the mistake I've made. I've made these mistakes twice. Same, 2 different cars, but the same mistake I've made twice. One, taking out interior bits. I took the back seat out of my Mini, and I thought that was a good idea to save weight, whatever, and that was dumb. When I put it back in before I went to sell the car, and I drove it around for a few days like that, I was like, oh, the amount of noise insulation that the back seat did was a lot. I also took the back seat out of my Fox Body Mustang. Yeah. Mistake. I just heard rattling and shit that the back seat would have kept me from hearing.
Yeah, so a lot of sound deadening.
That was dumb. And racing harnesses. Replacing regular ass seatbelts with racing harnesses because I thought they were fucking cool, and they're stupid and annoying if you're not actually racing.
And not to mention they're not very safe on the street.
Yeah. Do not recommend. Yeah. It's one thing if you have a harness bar and you leave the regular seatbelt and you want to go to a track day or something and you're going to use it with a Hans device okay, fine. I get that. But don't take out your regular seatbelts.
Yes.
Yeah.
I ran an open downpipe on my Subaru for about 3 days while I waited for my catback to arrive. And about 10 minutes into the first drive, I went, this is a bad idea.
Yeah.
It was so loud. And I think, with my M3, like the suspension I got because I thought I was going to drift it a lot. And then very quickly I continued to learn how expensive it is to fuck around with that car and abuse it that way. And I pulled back from that idea. And I'm not going to do that with that, at least not very frequently. And so now I have suspension that is super snappy and awesome for oversteer, but too stiff for, driving around town.
Yeah. Jim Kana, I'm sorry, I just don't really know anything about your question, so I'm going to skip over it. But it's a good question. I just don't have the answer. Bad Gardener says, Doug did a craziest car spotting video. What is the wildest out-of-place car spotting you've ever seen? Depends if you mean like hypercars or like literally the most out of place car spotting.
I think we go out of place.
Yeah.
Because if you go to Lake Como and you see hypercars, that's not.
Yeah, that doesn't. Yeah, I'm not surprised there. Yeah, I was in Monaco for the Grand Prix. Okay, I was in Monaco for the Grand Prix, and I saw a 1989 Cadillac Fleetwood parked in front of a very high-end condo building with Monaco tags on it, properly registered in Monaco. And I went up to the doorman of the building and I said, does the person who drives this car live here? And they said yes. So somebody went out of their way to get an American car that's worth like $4,000. I want to say it's a Fleetwood. Yep, that's it. Blue. Exactly like that.
Like this?
Exactly like that. Somebody brought that motherfucker to Monaco, imported it legit, and is rolling it in Monaco. That is the fucking bossest move. To drive around a fucking American shitbox. It was in great condition.
Did you ask if they're connected at all?
I mean, this is a boss move. I'm at the Grand Prix Monaco. There's hypercars, there's Koenigseggs everywhere and Chirons, and that stuff is neat. You seen one, you seen them all though. Fucking 89 Fleetwood in Monaco, like
it stands out.
Someone probably spent $25,000 to get that piece of shit over there.
Wow,
that's a boss move. I love that.
It's just silly. Well, it's nice because you're not going to worry about it getting, dented or hit. Not in Monaco anyway, but it's not expensive. It's not a $4 million something that you're afraid to park.
Yeah.
And it's very comfortable.
Yeah.
What a weird thing to
go
around in.
It was the coolest.
I think when I saw a Crown Vic dressed as a CHP car in Germany. Mm-hmm. That was the most out of place thing I've seen in my automotive existence, I think. I'm like, who the fuck? It's like someone's just like, isn't this going to be fun?
Did it literally say California Highway Patrol?
Oh, it had lights. It had highway because it doesn't look like a police car in Germany. So they don't care. It's like it's Alex Roy's Polizei thing in reverse.
Yeah.
But it was fully dressed up. Yeah. Same thing. They probably spent a lot of money to bring it there.
Yeah.
And to build it.
Yeah. I bet that's not what Bad Gardner wanted out of that question. Let's see. HUD says if someone has their Instagram handle on their car and they maybe have a TRD Camry with straight pipes, would I be an asshole to send them a DM about it? No. You're asking for it.
What are you going to ask? What are they going to say to them?
I mean, presumably that their car sucks.
I would say, hey man, your car doesn't sound great.
I actually think, forget the straight pipe, the actual TRD exhaust on the Camry makes it sound like a Lotus Evora. Quite successfully. It really does sound just like a Lotus Evora.
That's true. Same engine.
Yeah. God, there is nothing dumber than putting your fucking Instagram on your car.
Just HUD, don't get yourself in a fight. You don't know who owns the car. So determine how much shit you want to talk using your account. It's
actually not as cool as talking shit to their face about it, though. That's what I do. I openly will talk shit to your face if you have your Instagram handle in your car.
But I don't think anyone's going to punch you in the face.
Probably not.
I think you're too well known.
I mean, maybe they would for clout. But I have definitely openly talked shit about anyone who's got their Instagram handle in their car.
Did you see the Cybertruck trying to do reverse donuts at a sideshow and it ran over like several people?
Oh God.
Yeah, because
I thought the ADAS should stop that. No.
Well, they try to do it forward, and they're backing up. They crank the wheel, but there's no engine in the front. There's no pendulum to whip it around, and so it understeers backwards basically. No way. And it just backed into three people who probably all got stabbed to death. By the back of it.
Someone did, and did people die?
No, I don't know. It was everyone went oh, and then the video ended. But
did you see the thing I sent you about the guy who slashed his wrist on the fucking?
Oh yeah, that whole forum post. The cope of that owner. Did you read all the pages?
No, I just saw the part about him in the OR. So this person slashed his wrist.
They documented the timeline of taking the delivery of their Cybertruck, right?
Yeah.
So hey, we ordered it. They said it'll be here in a couple of days, and then they post again just got here. There's sticky film something residue all over the bed. It's got these rust spots we all know about, but he's like, I'm gonna clay bar or whatever to get rid of that anyway. Basically, he's noting how many things are wrong when it got delivered. And he asked the delivery driver, why is it in this condition? And they were just like, that's what happens. And so this owner is then, they take it for a drive, and part of the rubber bed cover starts to flop off, which is a known problem now. Oh, and there's a new problem that people are reporting where the bed cover, the slats are grabbing the rubber grommet seal and starting to pinch it, and it gets stuck. So they can't open or close their bed.
Cool.
So this guy's
Truck
hey.
2.0.
Truck 2.0. He's like, hey, here's what's going wrong with all these things. And then he went to rub some goopy stuff that he was like, why is this on the bed? And he was rubbing the back panel of the bed, and his wrist touched that the inside of the vertical rail, and he cut his wrist. And he had to go to the hospital and get stitches on it. And then, but the reason I said the cope is so strong because at the end he was like, "Love this thing," and unless it's hashtag sarcasm, it's just like, yes, it has all these problems, and I went to the hospital.
Yeah.
But what a great product.
I mean,
I don't get it.
People just love when they get attention. And if he lives somewhere, I assume it's a he, if he lives somewhere where people are staring at him when he drives it around and it gets attention, he probably loves that and not the actual vehicle.
I guess, but like how much there's putting up with discomfort for attention, driving a rat rod or whatever. And then there is, I touched a normal part of my car and it cut my wrist so bad I had to go to the hospital to get stitches.
Yeah.
You know, like and we pointed this out on your video on YouTube, like there are a lot of really sharp areas and, you know, someone might say, oh, well, when you open the door, if you grab it from that top grommet, you won't cut your hand. Right. What if your kid is 6 years old? And they go to open the door because they're like, I want to do it. Let me. And they grab the lower part, which we pointed out with a cucumber, is a bit sharp. I mean, there's so many things that I just don't understand about that car. Yeah.
Someone sent me the subreddit, which is called r/cyberstuck.
r/wrist?
Which is yes, which is just a bunch of, it's all the Cybertruck fails and stuff. So they're being fucking dumped on the, look at Auto Tempest right now and look at how many are for sale. There's a lot. There are many, many, many. Autotempest.com/TST, of course.
I feel bad for people who, you know, I know people bought these for different reasons and they're like, I'm excited for it. I like the way it looks, whatever. But when you get it and it has so many problems and it's a first-year vehicle, there's going to be some issues, but some of these seem glaring.
Yeah. No, like, really, it's not just like it's there's shit that just should have never ever left the factory.
Like I will forgive the tonneau cover thing, although you'd think they would have just tested it more at the factory. But like the sharp stuff,
go to any
headlights.
Let's see how many Cybertrucks come up for sale right now. No. There's a bunch.
All right, sort by low.
There are. Yeah, there's a lot. Look how many there are. It keeps going down. Holy shit, there's so many. Oh my God, there's so many of them.
There are dozens.
Dude, that's a lot. That's a lot. And a lot of them don't have very few miles on them. Yeah, there's a lot for sale right now. Wow. Okay. Good luck.
And the prices actually aren't as low. It's not like they're trying to move them. These are like 140 grand to like 112.
Yeah. They're a lot.
The cheapest one is 119.
Man, if you spent fucking six figures on that, you'd feel fucking dumb. What a
1,300 miles.
Horribly built
150
thing.
miles. Wow.
Yeah. Even if you like the idea of it, the execution is so poor.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it sucks that the execution is so poor because people that are really, really into this and we're excited about it go, "Yay, my present!" And they open it and like, what?
Yeah.
And it has all these different user problems and all the rear visibility. Like, there's so many things.
Yeah, not great. Not great. All right, that's our program today. Thank you all for listening. I'm glad that nobody has permanent fucking issues.
Yeah, no one has any permanent health issues.
Yeah, it's not great. And who do we got coming in later this week?
Zack Mertens from
cool.
Hoonigan will be here on Wednesday.
Awesome.
Tell us all his crazy stories.
And for you pro drivers, we are doing a pro driver show tomorrow afternoon at 3:30 or 4 p.m. Pacific. So stick around for that. It might be a bourbon show. We'll see. Thanks, everybody. See you later. Bye.